Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon-free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well, then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. So on the last episode, we went through the why behind our move to Costa Rica. And I mean, we haven't fully moved to Costa Rica. That is definitely something we're entertaining for the long term, but we're split between our house in the United States and our house in Costa Rica. I wanted to unpack in a couple of episodes, number one, the why we're here, why Costa Rica, and the number two, how we did it. So how did we actually do it? And you know what's going to sound funny is I wish I had some like extravagant story like, oh, we've been saving up for years. We've been dreaming of this since we were kids. Da, 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 da. No, we we decided on a whim to do this, as I mentioned in the prior episode. And how we actually did it, really two big things. Number one, and this is like super tactical. Number one was that during the pandemic, because this is 2020, during the pandemic, there was this special rule that came out in the CARES Act that basically said you can withdraw your retirement accounts tax free or penalty free. But if you withdraw your Roth contributions out, it's tax free. So what we decided to do was we were looking at our retirement accounts and we were looking at what we had in the stock market, what we had in the bank. And we said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to buy this house and we're going to source the money from three sources. One was we're going to make a deposit from our savings account. Number two was we're going to sell off several investments. We're going to harvest some tax losses for the year. And we're going to take that money out of the market and we're going to cover it that way. And number three was we were going to take money out of our retirement funds, tax and penalty free, because this was kind of a gesture in a way to say, your retirement isn't guaranteed, right? What would we have done with that money? Done exactly this. If we do this and we do this well, it's going to pay us back even more and we can put the money back into the retirement account. So we said, okay, we're going to essentially borrow from our retirement accounts. We're going to take it out tax and penalty free. And if we need to replenish the retirement accounts, we will. We'll do it later. But we felt comfortable enough with what we had saved in order to do this. And here's the biggest thing, that we could make a spot decision like this and not really stress out about where the money was coming from because we had done everything on paper that is like the boring savings and boring habits that you just do. Okay. It's the financial equivalent of stretching every day and like drinking lemon water. It's like the boring stuff that actually serves you. So we had money saved up. We had money from the stock market. We had all these other different sources. And we just said, you know what? We're going to go do it. Part of why I don't share the how all that often, like I don't talk about that, is I don't find it that fascinating. Like once we decided we wanted to buy, we just started searching the realtor sites. We looked for a place in Guanacaste near where we had stayed under the budget. And the construction plans and renderings were on the website. But like I said, it was a pile of dirt, like it was a brand new construction. But here's the thing. This is where most people stop. This is where you've probably stopped because you've probably entertained the idea at one point. Maybe you guys are sitting over coffee on a Sunday. Maybe you guys are just finishing up dinner or watching a show and you're like, hey, you know, my friend lives in Costa Rica. My friend lives in whatever place. And you just start Googling like houses, God knows where, right? Like, let's move to Bali. Let's move to wherever. And you start searching houses and you're like, oh, that'd be fun. Look at that house. Oh, that's so cool. And you stop because you're like, well, that's cool. But but then you basically let it fizzle away. You don't hang on to that idea. You just kind of let it pass by and say, oh, wouldn't that be cool? Here's the difference though. Like if you really want it, if you really, really want it, hang on to that idea and actually go, well, wait a minute. Wait, let's put the brakes on that for a second. What would it take to actually do that? What are the upsides? What are the downsides? What could we do to make that happen? What could we do for, we could do that for a year. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really that big of a commitment. We really didn't see this as such a huge commitment. I think that from the outside looking in, I get asked a lot, how did you do that? But what they're really asking is, or saying underneath that is, wow, this feels like such a big thing, a big deal. Like, how did you process that big of a change in your life? Truth be told, like it really wasn't. It was a short vacation rental type thing where we're like, all right, let's stay here for a couple weeks a year. We have a house down there. That's pretty cool. We'll hire a property manager. We'll just do those types of things. It was to us no different than having a condo in Florida. Like you wouldn't ask a person who bought a condo in Florida, oh my God, how did you do that? Right? You wouldn't ask them that. And that's how it kind of feels to me where I'm like, I don't know. Like we just bought it. Like it's just a thing. But that's where it gets real is when it's abroad. Somehow adding a passport into the mix makes it complicated. It really doesn't. All it takes to do what we did, guys, is buy a plane ticket. Buy a plane ticket, book a hotel, pick an area that you want to stay in, and look at properties. And then by the time you leave, like stay for a couple weeks, by the time you leave, you'll probably have an offer down on a place and start the process. It's totally, totally doable. Here's the thing when you're looking at real estate, when you're investing in real estate, which is something Jason and I love to do now, is when you're talking about real estate, you're talking about a property, something you can physically touch, see, and it's tangible. And you can't change the location of physical earth. Like it's so hard for you to lose all the value of that particular type of property or asset. So when we look at land or we look at, properties here, we see a chance to increase our footprint in the country and just be able to enjoy it more. B, we also see potential for how much more this country is going to thrive and how much we can be a part of growing and building more things here and contributing back. And it's really an exciting time to be here. It's really an exciting country. We absolutely love it. A big part, I will say, a big part of the how, a really big part of the how we did this was thank goodness, thank goodness that my dad convinced me to take Spanish instead of French. That's all I can say. Because actually, my dad had a really funny way of convincing me to take Spanish that I think you'll enjoy. I was telling him I want to take French because all my friends were taking French. And I said, I want to sit in my class with my friends, right? Because that's what you want when you're like 11. You're like, my friends are taking French. So I want to take French. And my dad pulled me aside and he said, like hell, you're taking French. You're not going to be stuck in spring break drunk looking for a cab in Montreal. Okay. You're going to be in Cancun. You're taking Spanish. And I didn't know what any of that meant when I was 11. I didn't know what any of that meant. But damn, was he right. He was basically saying, you're not going up to Canada anytime soon where you can't speak the language. You're not going to be stuck and have to like figure out how to get home in French. No, you will not have to do that. You'll be fine. Spanish it is. So I was like, oh, okay, Spanish, I guess, is more useful. So I took that. Really excited that I actually got to use it in Costa Rica. And it's definitely held up really well because a lot of the reasons why we were able to get the house, get everything executed, get the right people on our side was my ability to communicate with the people here and to just develop relationships here. Now, there is a huge wrinkle in this whole process, and this is part of why I'm sharing this story now, 3 years later. Over the past 3 years, we've bought the house, but had a lot of struggles with getting the closing done. In fact, we are just now closing on it in the spring of 2023, even though we bought it in the spring of 2020, so 3 years. It took forever because of construction permit issues and issues with the house and different contractors that had to come by and fix things. And it was just a whole lot of different frustrations that were happening. But out of all of that and like the rocky road of everything, it was actually kind of a lot of gifts underneath all of that. And I mean, going through all of that, especially going through that with Jason, was eye opening. Basically, we went through almost a custom home build, which it should not have been a custom home build. It should have been pretty cookie cutter. But having to work my corporate job, build my business, and also turn into like a part-time property manager here, trying to control all the contractors coming in and out. And trust me, if you've had a single meeting with me in the last 3 years, you know that it's a good chance, maybe north of a 50% chance, I'm going to be interrupted by someone coming to the door who is totally unannounced and working on something related to the house. Like someone who I asked to come by yesterday, who said they'd be there first thing in the morning, is there at 2 p.m. It is how it is down here. So it's just one of those things that you kind of like learn how to adapt with. And we've had to have a lot of patience and build a lot of stamina for this stuff over the last 3 years. We're really, really excited to kind of get through that phase. It definitely tested us, but get through that phase and really start to enjoy what the country has to offer here beyond, dealing with all the administrative stuff of buying property. It is super challenging. It is. But at the end of the day, it's really simple. It really is. It's very, very simple. You just have to make the decision to do something like that. And, if you are following along on, let's say, social media, or if you're listening to the show and going, oh, must be nice, right? Or if you catch yourself following someone on social media or paying attention to what they're up to and looking at that and going, oh, must be nice to be able to do that. My response back is, it is. And why not you? Because there's a version of this, there's a version of your Costa Rica, your, early retirement, your live life now type of thing. There is a version of that for you. It doesn't have to be Costa Rica. It could sound really cool for you to come down to Costa Rica and live here, but like it's not for everybody. It really isn't. It's just something that we have found has a lot of alignment with us, our values, our culture, our love of community. It checks a lot of the boxes for us, but that could be something totally different for you. That could be something totally different for you. You've got to just tap into what is your sort of paradise. What is the place that you could go and not really have to go on vacation from? That's what you should be looking for. It's crazy. We feel like we never take a vacation and yet always take a vacation. It's weird. We can come and go as we please. We can enjoy what life has to offer in both locations and couldn't really ask for more than that. It's amazing. And ultimately, what I would recommend for advice is if you want to do something like this and maybe financially, you're like, oh, I can't quite do this just yet. I would say keep that in mind just yet, the just yet part. And keep doing the boring stuff. Keep doing the stuff that is sustainable, that is realistic, and that actually leads to results. Because the more that you try to use riskier methods or risky ways to earn money, the more is at stake, the more that you're trying to, ride the waves, basically. And I would say that patience, consistency, and doing the simple things over and over again will always lead you to win in the end. I truly believe that. If you're an entrepreneur who's just starting out, it can be overwhelming to think about all the responsibilities you have when it comes to financial management and taxes. Even if you've been binging this podcast, implementing all of it can be really stressful if you don't have a clear list of action steps and know exactly what you should be doing right now. Luckily, we organized all of this for you in the Business Financial Quick Starter. This is your one-stop shop for beginning steps of entrepreneurship so you can build your business confidently from day one. This is not me teaching accounting, no way. It's a specific set of essential action steps to save you a lot of time, money, and headaches as you embark on your own entrepreneurship journey. We cover everything from setting up your business bank account all the way through avoiding a surprise tax bill. Now, as a podcast listener, you get 10% off with code KEEPWHATYOUEARN, all one word. So dive in now and access your Business Financial Quick Starter. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.